Good evening. Everyone's doing all right? So tonight we continue with the Song of Awakening. Last week's talk was pretty important. Last talk, because it deals with the difficulties that we run into life, people that criticize us, slander, and we see them as what? Remember? Dharma friends. Right? So that one's useful. Tonight, there are two sets of verses I wish to talk about. I'm jumping around again, picking out the more important ones. So, beginning tonight, everything that follows, with some exceptions, talks about post-awakening practice. How is it relevant to us? Can all of you hear? Hear my voice? It's okay? There are some areas in the Chan Hall that the sound doesn't reverberate there, so feel free to move around. Like this corner usually is kind of a dead corner. Maybe come over here. Over here. Everyone else is all right? Okay. Maybe come a little. You can feel fine. Maybe tell me if you have trouble, just come a little closer. Marianne, come over here if you wish. Okay. Come a little closer. I'll talk louder instead of making all of you move. I'm sorry. What does post-awakening have anything to do with us? Right? It has a lot to do with us. I've already spoken about, a little bit, I believe. What is awakening? What is selflessness? What is our original freedom? When we spoke about the view. So this section, I'll talk about some experiential aspects of awakening and how that's relevant to us. Why? Because a lot of people, when they read or hear or about the Buddhist notion of no self, they always have misunderstandings. It's almost inevitable. And this has nothing to do with Western culture. Even in the East, when they hear no self, it's nothing to do with translation issues, like lost in translation. Even in original Buddhist languages, it's just unfathomable. Unfathomable. Another big one we won't be talking about tonight, besides no self, is rebirth. these two these two ideas are give rise to a lot of misunderstanding. So I want to take some time at least cover no self, the experience of no self. Okay. When we speak about Buddhist awakening, it's different than the awakening spoken of in non-Buddhist traditions. Sound? It's what? Yeah. It, it, it's popping now. Yeah. So turn it down a little bit. So did you turn it up? Put it down to where we usually put it. The Zoom folks, can they? All right. Turn it down and I'll speak louder. Keep me posted if I need to adjust. If I need to adjust, let me know right away. Okay. It is inconceivable. Inconceivable. Out of convenience, the best way to describe the state of awakening is selflessness, or being without self, being without self-referencing. But still, that doesn't come close. When people read about no self, they can only imagine it based on words and language. They can only try to fathom it through concepts. Notions. And that's where the problems begin. All the baggage that we bring and the associations that we have with words and language and our own history. When we see something as no self, we immediately associate it with our experiences. How is it possible? Is it a kind of vacuity? I mean, who is it experiencing now? Is there experiencing? Is there just a vacuum? Who's listening now? Who's looking now? Obviously, something is there. Also, we know from personal experience that there's continuity. I used to be like this, now I'm like that. I learned this, I learned that. There's a history to how we are the way we are. Inconceivable. Isn't it right? And we are so deeply entrenched in the ways in which we experience the world as humans. linguistic beings, that perhaps it's not possible in our imagination to experience something unfiltered, to experience in the immediacy of the present without understanding. Right? Our way to fathom things. How can you experience without the workings of the brain, mind? And there's a me, I, mind that lies in the center of that. It's linked. It's linked. In fact, the reason we experience that connectedness with perception and the kind of subjectivity I'm perceiving. I'm seeing, I'm hearing, I'm smelling, tasting. We're anatomically, neurologically wired to have this experience. In other words, our perception, our sense of subjectivity, it's linked, it's part of the byproduct. Right? The sense of self that it produces, subjectivity, it's a byproduct of our neurological functioning. This means if there's some kind of lesion in your neurological pathway, you actually may not experience the sense of spatial orientation of I'm here and all of you are over there. So obviously there's this perception, there's a sense of self here. And we're so entrenched, engrossed, habituated in this automatic, so natural process of how we perceive, how we experience, that we have taken this byproduct as the self, as something fixed. Is it possible to experience no self and still have all the function of our perception? Sight, sounds, hear, sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, thought. Thought, too. Is it possible? Of course. Of course. Is it possible to have memory? To experience, to perceive? Of course. So what is it that Buddha Dharma, when he talks about no self, what is it referring to? It only refers to this habituated tendency. It's only a tendency. This tendency to solidify, reify all of our experiences in a self-referential way. In other words, it's this tendency to automatically identify this natural neurological anatomical functioning that produces this byproduct of subjectivity, reify that as me, I, mine. And you can't think your way out of it because you're thinking through this byproduct. So it's completely unfathomable, inconceivable. Is it possible to be free from this? Yes. Yes. And each and every one of you are able to do this. Questions later. Yeah. Each and every one of you are able to do this because this freedom is the most natural baseline of who you are. The problem is, and this is where we get caught up, we've gotten so used to identifying with our thoughts and feelings and narratives and notions that we have absolutely no idea what it is to be like, a sense of being without that identification. To allow the natural flow of the mind, of the senses, to naturally function without the need to solidify, reify. The eyes see, the ears hear, nose smell, everything functions, and the mind, material basis, faculty, brain, able to think creatively. How is it to do that? How can we do that? You can't read your way through it. You can't think your way through it. You gotta practice. And here lies the secret, the key to practice, Buddha Dharma practice. You have to be able to cut through words and language, which includes every experience that you've ever had, everything that you have now, and all the ideas you wish to achieve in the future. Your sense of future. Your sense of future. And your memories of the past, which is so solid. It's backed up by personal lived experience. You gotta be able to put it down. How to put it down? You have to have a method. If you don't have a method, you're lost in the sea of words and language, notions and ideas. A method is able to cut through the most superficial layer of our sense of who we are, which is made up of our past and future, our ideas, our identities, words, language. This is the most superficial layer. To collapse all of these fragmented, incongruent, disparate notions of habit tendencies of the Buddha Dharma calls wandering thoughts. Collapse all of it into the present moment. The method. So that moment after moment after moment after moment, there is no past, there is no future, there's no environment, there's definitely no words and language and stories we construct. There's only the embodied experiencing of the method. It could be the embodied experiencing of a number, not up here, counting the breath, not up here. It's the embodied experiencing. It's like me holding this clock. Exhale, 1. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to remind yourself, 1. I'm on 1 now. I'm on 1. 1. 2. I better use this thought to block out the other thoughts. You know? It's just the embodied experiencing. Completely grounded, relaxed, just number. You're just on 1. There is no past. There is no future. There is no two. There is no zero. Just a number. Completely. So that the embodied experiencing and the method and the present moment, these three, one. Moment by moment by moment. You will cut through the layers, encrusted layers of discursive thinking, wandering thoughts, notions, ideas, grasping, rejecting, right, wrong, good, bad, having, lacking. It's like, the analogy I have is like surfing and diving. You don't surf on the surface of the water. It's endless ups and downs, waves coming and going. You have to dive. Once you cut through or dive through, because the mind is trained, disciplined to be in the present, then there is no up and down. There is no past or future. There's just the present moment. The present is embodied experiencing. Embodied experiencing is the method. The method is the present moment. There's nothing else. Then you experience the vast wholeness of the ocean. This is just an analogy with words and language. It's inevitable. I can't do it any other way. I don't know sign language. Right? So, until wandering, the Buddha calls it upside down thinking, delusion. To put it mildly, wandering thoughts. But basically, we make all our life choices through wandering thoughts. You see the gravity of this? This is a friend, that's a foe. This is good, that's bad. You're right. I'm wrong. I'm right, you're wrong. Every single choice we make, every single experience we interpret, it's all through these fragmented, deluded, wandering, fragmented thoughts. So the Buddha sees sentient beings as in the slumber of sleep, dream. From this fragmented to a more unified sense of self, in which the self is only embodied in the present, alive, fresh, unmediated, as much as possible. So from scattered to concentrated, concentrated to unified. And by the merit of your practice, good fortune, and the ripening conditioning, the support of the Sangha, the instructions of the teacher, the presence of the teacher guiding, a teacher who has experienced no self. Only. Then the conditions will be provided. Or a teacher or someone may recognize a person when it's ripe. Provide the teachings, conditions, the self suddenly drops away. That habit tendency of reifying things suddenly drops away. What is it like? Everything functions. Everything is present. Except the self-referencing is absent. Now, speaking like this doesn't really convey the gravity of the actual experience, because the actual experience is like the whole world has collapsed. The whole world. And for the first time, you've broken through in experiencing in the live, vivid, where all things are awakened. In that state, there is no delusion. There is no awakening. Your experience of sentient beings, even people arguing, there's no experience of our pitiable sentient beings. They need Buddha Dharma. And here I am ready to teach you. That's big self, big attachment. Right? There is no awakening. That's why from the Buddha's perspective, sentient beings are already free. There is no wisdom, nor is there compassion. Are things done? Of course. All things are perfected in themselves, and things that needs to be done are accomplished. You don't sense effort. You don't sense trying. You don't sense lacking, nor do you sense having. Success, failure does not apply. Motion, stillness does not apply. Inconceivable state. Self-other does not apply. But is there self and others? Of course there is. Is there social injustice? Of course there is. Do you respond to it? Of course you do. But there's no mind that can be moved. So to you, subjectively, nothing moves. Nothing accomplished. Literally, no gain, no loss. Having, lacking. Delusion, awakening. These words are like words for babies' toys. They have absolutely no relevance. In for lack of a better term, awakened state. That is you. That is who you are. That is nirvana. For people that have glimpses of this, maybe very good. Usually I congratulate them, but really it doesn't count. Because glimpses of a few minutes doesn't really count. It becomes a memory. Just like everything else, when the self-grasping comes back, it attaches it like a memory. It becomes a thing again. And then a lot of people, they have something similar to this experience, and then they start to search what that experience is about, and hence began their journey of spiritual practice. Maybe they experienced something when they're younger, and they're always trying to find it, always trying to go after. That's pitiable. It's because that person doesn't have a teacher to guide. I've met several people like this. The correct view from that experience, and it can only happen if a person has substantial awakening experiences, such as a few months, a few weeks in that state, a few months, so that that person can actually live in that state and interact with people in that state. Then that person will be able to naturally manifest the function of selfless wisdom. If it's just a glimpse, it's like too brief to get anything out of it, to have any substantial, transformative experience or effect on our grasping, our vexations. There's no effect. It's just a memory. That's why it doesn't count. So our self-grasping, deep, deep rooted. So we must engage in practice. But if we practice based on seeking, I want enlightenment, that's completely upside down. And that's the trick. You have to practice very diligently, but not seeking anything. Because if you seek anything, that's greed, hatred, ignorance. That completely goes the other way. So the correct view is we're already free. Yet, engage in practice. And be vigilant about this tendency, all the manifold manifestations of greed and hatred, which stems from ignorance, 3 poisons. How do they manifest? Having, lacking, success, failure, wanting, needing, good, bad. All the different polarities based on me, I, mine. That's the culprit. So in that state, in order to have any effect on one's correct understanding, correct view, this experience must be relatively long-lasting. And the self will come back. I've never met anyone, no one, who is, maybe I haven't traveled enough. Maybe there's some great arhats somewhere. I've never met anyone who is always in this state. So the self will come back, and we have to practice. But at that time, practice is effortless, because effort, usually, the habitual tendency of effort is grasping, correcting, fixing, mending something, gaining something, trying to get rid of something. That's the mind's disease. Effortless, yet diligent. Now, using words like this, does this sound crazy? Effortless, but not seeking. Great diligence. That's what it takes. And the experience of awakening again and again and again and again. The first one could be extremely powerful. If it's real substantial, not a glimpse, completely the world collapse, vanishes. Everything that we have built, we have tried to protect. It's silly. You're already free, nothing to protect. And interacting with people, doing affair, doing research, doing all kinds of stuff, in the midst of that, going to work, going to school, in the midst of that. Then selfless wisdom, which is prajna, or manifest. And the manifestation of prajna in interacting with beings, what is that? That's compassion. Selfless action. It's not 2 separate things. It's the same thing. Just different angle you shine a spotlight on. It's like this cup. You can shine a light from this angle or this angle. It looks different. Selfless wisdom. Compassion. It's the same. Right? But subsequent experience of awakening, can come and go. You can slip into it in the middle of talking with someone, in the middle of giving a talk, walking down the street. Why? Because the substantial awakening is powerful enough that, yes, the habit tendency, remember, self-attachment, no self. What is a self? I say it's habit tendency. It's not like something's really there, and then we have to get rid of it. Originally, it's not there. It's just this habit tendency, right? That habit tendency can be quite strong. But because the first disillusionment is powerful, therefore, when it comes back, it's weak. So sometimes a person, practitioner, can suddenly slip into this state in daily life, in interaction. Not only during daytime, during sleep. Now, you may say, is the person dreaming? Maybe? No. It's truly inconceivable. Because we are so used to having the sense of me, I, sense of self, it's always been with us. It is that which is most familiar. We've never been without it, even during dreams. Therefore, it's inconceivable to have it suddenly vanish away. But when it's absent, the difference is completely different. It's not like the mind is so clear. You can get clarity when the mind is concentrated or unified state. Therefore, in sleep, it can also slipping, the self-grasping vanishes. And while you're sleeping, I don't know, maybe there are some practitioners, awakened practitioners, who sleeps like a bear. Right? I tend to sleep very light, so I don't have too many dreams. So when he's absent, I know the grasping is absent. I guess people can sleep through it. Maybe if they, really tired or something. But even during sleep, right, the clarity that you have during sleep, you have no dream, no wandering thoughts, mind scattered all over the place. When it's not that, it's just peace and no self. The difference is night and day. Night and day. Same thing in waking life. The clarity of mind versus selfless state. Completely different. The analogy I have is, it's like a window. You can polish the window however spick and span you polish it. Clear. So that you can even fool birds. Birds can fly into the window. But there's still a window there. Awakening? No window. Because originally there's no window. How do we function? We function perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. In fact, much better. Much better. All of the old routines, habit, pattern, ways of thinking, absent. So you're able to make new connections. You can see causes and conditions perfectly. Does that sound nice? Is it enticing? I want to get some of that. The good thing is you're already living it in this moment. In the ways in which and the extent to which we have identified with this grasping, which is so subtle, it's completely normalized. It's completely normalized, so we don't actually see it. We don't see it. That's the sad part. And we don't believe it. So with that prelude, that's why the text tonight says, there is no need for further effort after awakening, which is different with all conditioned phenomena. Conditioned phenomena, causes and conditions. Giving alms with attachment leads to the merit of heavenly birth. But doing so is like shooting an arrow at the sky. Not seeking the truth, not rejecting the false. Realize that both are empty without form. Not form, not emptiness, and not non-emptiness. This is the true reality of the Tathagata. Thus come one. What happens to arrows when you shoot up in the air? If you shoot straight up, you better move, because it's going to come down. You can shoot on a little angle, but it comes down and hurts someone else. Inevitable. All actions that stem from sense of having, lacking, gaining, losing, success, failure, wanting, inevitably it will hurt someone. If it's not yourself, it's someone else. That's why it's not compassionate. What qualifies as compassion in the strict sense of the word in Buddha Dharma? Selfless action. That's the base minimum requirement. Some selfless action, we don't mean it. Even though it doesn't stem from vexations, it still has potential. Still has potential to hurt people, to hurt others. And we're all interconnected. Hurting others is like hurting ourselves. And the ways in which we hurt other people. It is only natural that we practice for the sake of everyone. And for the sake of helping everyone, we have to acquire skillful means. Skillful means. And the perfection of skillful means is one of the 10 perfections, paramitas, the perfection of which is attained by a full Buddha. So the compassion of the great Buddhas, inconceivable, inconceivable. No arrows. No more shooting. Not at the sky, definitely not at people. Now, in our lives, how many of you shoot arrows at people? Don't be shy. Own up to the ways in which you hurt people. Raise your hand. Yeah. Yeah. Things that we say. And how many of you have gotten shot by arrows? Yeah, there's arrows everywhere. Hard to dodge sometimes. You gotta be like Matrix, slow things down. Kind of like, you know. Arrows everywhere. Arrows everywhere. In awakening, however, no arrows. No one's shooting. No one's shooting. There's no shooter. There's no victim of people that are shot. Peace. Is there things that needs to be corrected, needs to be done on a social level, family level, workplace? Of course. Of course. But things are done as if not done. It's inconceivable. It's inconceivable to try to fathom without the sense of success or failure. Just try to imagine that. Gaining a sense of, however subtle sense of gaining, losing, having, lacking, things that need to be fixed, people that need to be fixed. Imagine without that. Yet you see what needs to be done. That's why it's inconceivable. Because we can't think of it through words and language, through our past experiences, through our future projections. There's no reference point. We're locked into, and we need to recognize the extent to which we're locked into this vortex of words, notions, grasping, rejecting, that we don't question it. It's so normalized, we don't question it. So this text talks about something that's unfathomable. No need for effort. Now the self does come back. If a person, after having supposedly genuine awakening experience, and still has the very strong propensity, I gotta practice harder and harder, it's questionable, that person's experience, genuine or not. Now, does that person actually practice hard? Yes. But the way the person thinks, when a person experiences awakening, genuine, long enough, like weeks and months in this state, the whole thinking pattern, the whole relationship between words and language completely changes. Unfathomable. The extent to which that we're hooked by our own notions throughout the day that makes your judgments, that interprets your experiences, the extent to which this grasping filters through everything that you have. Now, if that relationship changes, inconceivable. So if a person still locked into that, his own opinion or thinking, views on things, then it's probably not awakening. Does that make sense? So, sometimes even experienced teachers, they can't tell. That's why experienced teachers usually, like students that come, they want to affirm their experience, you don't really know them, usually teachers don't affirm that. Why? They have to live with the person. They have to hang out with the person. Like even on a weeknight sittings like this, interact, and the teacher will know the level of self-grasping, the sense of protection of the self, right? Self-cherishing notion. How thick is the shield? Very easy to find out. So just on retreat, sometimes people come on retreat, they've had some powerful experience, they want some affirmation as well. Very good. Okay. I don't know. Please continue to practice. Right? So how a person. So you have to be able to be so sensitive that you're in the person. The person is you. For the teacher. and that interaction. You're not listening to the words. You're not just observing body language. You're completely one with the person. Then, through some time, the teacher will be able to tell. Does that make sense? Yeah. Not fantasy. Not fantasy. Now, what it takes is no obstruction from the side of the teacher. The self has to get out of the way. Otherwise, you just experience yourself everywhere you go. Right? So, no effort. If a person still entertains the need to do something, what is that driven by? Having, lacking, gaining, losing. Right? Questionable. Now, is that person like nothing to do anymore? No. Right? A person who's scatterbrained, or living ahead. Even common people can tell, right? Can you guys tell? Sometimes on retreat, we see people cleaning. We have job assignment. Some people are scatterbrained. They clean a little here, clean a little here, clean a little here. They forgot where they left the things. All over the place, scattered. The person who's clear, very efficient, yet effortless. Effortless. Steady, steady. And that's why it's different than all conditioned phenomena. All conditioned things, constructed things, these aggregates. Right? But the Dharma speak of aggregates. They have one characteristic. They come and go. Post-awakening practice doesn't come and go. It's always present. Right? Conditioned things. It's conditioned by what? Self. Conditioned by the poisons of the mind, greed, hatred, ignorance. Conditioned by all kinds of factors. So, practice based on conditioned things, very difficult. Even though we may not be awakened, we must have the correct view and be vigilant of the workings of grasping mind. We have to be very familiar how vexations work. That's essentially Dharma practice. Now, it doesn't say no self, I have to kind of force myself to become no self, I have to be stoic. Nothing to do with that. It has nothing to do with that. Nothing to do with personality. Right? If a person is very passionate, after awakening, they're passionate. Yeah. They become passionate. If a person's like very rational, some people are very, very rational and cool, after awakening, that's their personality. It's the same. You see this in the early text. The Agamas, the Nikayas, the Arhats, they have all kinds of personalities. That doesn't disappear. Even though they have personalities, even though their personality comes from conditioned phenomena, behind that, no one there. What is there? Wisdom, compassion. Wisdom, compassion. Responsiveness. Each in their own way. Each in their own way. It's not a fixed mode that a great practitioner look a certain way, behave a certain way. That's just fantasy. Right? There's no mode. So, hypothetically, a very reasonable person, cool, calm person, the personality is like that. The the way they manifest compassion, it's just their way. Right? A very passionate person, after Great Awakening, the way they manifest, very passionate. Right? There are all kinds of people. There are huggers, right? What else do they have? Talkers? I don't know. You know, cool, you know, all kinds, all kinds. It gives an analogy of merit making. Why? Because most merit making is gaining and losing. People give in order to get something back. And that's a kind of exchange. You know. The function of compassion is not an exchange. There's no sense of giving. Because there's an absence of an other. Why wouldn't there be an absence of othering people? Like the pitiable people need my giving. Why? The self is not there. Is there a need? Yes, there's a need. But there's no sense of giving in the midst of giving. That is generosity. The virtue of the first paramita. So we strive for that. We strive for that. We know what it is. We know how we should do it. And when we are vigilant, catch ourselves. I'm going to give this donation. Hopefully I get rewarded or recognized. Yeah. Catch ourselves. Just give, because there's a need. Give. However much you can give. Does that make sense? So, giving is the first virtue. My teacher had a friend in Taiwan, very famous master. I'm not going to say the name. He has a huge organization, very smart. He has a wall of donors, and he always leaves, for the longest time, he's left 2 empty slots. Oh, that's a very good strategy. Very good strategy. Because everyone's asking, how can I get my name in that plaque? Even though he gets donation, he doesn't put the name in the plaque. You know, there's always room for empty plaques. You know, one wall's finished, he has another wall. Very smart. My teacher's like, I gotta learn from this. It's a very smart way, you know? So there's always something empty, and all the wealthy donors, they're always, oh, wow, I can't give now because it's too low, you know? If I wait for someone else to give, then I'm right at the eye level, my name, like right there, you know, in sequence. Oh, so calculative. Shooting arrow. It's gonna give back to us. It's not to say that we shouldn't give. Please give. Please give. There are so many wealthy people, and there are so many impoverished people. There's absolutely no reason why someone has to starve to death, go without food. The other day, Bodhi Bhikkhu emailed me. He has a big foundation, the Buddhist Global Relief, mainly addresses, I'm going to give him a plug, Bhante. Give his organization a plug. That organization addresses hunger globally. There's absolutely no reason, with all the wealth in the world, that people are starving. There's absolutely no reason. That's the primary goal. So those of you who see this, Buddhist Global Relief Support. He was trying to find out what Dharma relief. He says, hey, to relief, well, what relief are you doing? I'm like, Bodhi Bhikkhu, we have no overlap. We're addressing North America, whereas you're addressing global hunger. We're addressing social issues. For example, Dharma Relief 2, healing racial relations. It's very particular to the history of America. So whether it's Christianity, whether it's Buddhism, Dharma practice, racial relations will come up because this is the ground on which institutions, practices are race, gender, all these issues, it will come up. So he says, okay, sounds like we're doing some different, but perhaps we can collaborate in the future. So I said, yes, I hope I can have actually a video clip of him. I'm gonna wait till Dharma Relief 2 is gain some more momentum. I'm gonna ask him to do a video supporting Dharma Relief 2. Hopefully he'll say yes. But what needs to be done, what can be done, must be done. In the midst of doing it, sometimes I'm criticized. Sometimes I'm not supported, not criticized, but at least not supported. People question, why does it need to be done? Even my own Dharma brothers and sisters in our lineage. So it's normal. It's normal because everyone have their own perspective, have their own vantage point, have their own selves. It's normal to be obstructed. It's normal to experience hindrance. It's normal to be criticized. I spoke about the last talk, talk 8, was it? 7? 7. It's normal. Right? So those people who criticize, slander us, Bodhisattvas, Kalyana Mitra, can help us. Right? The mistakes that we've made, we correct. Mistakes that we haven't made, thank you for pointing that out. We'll look out for it in case we make it. Right? So preventative, preemptive reminder. Good. So merit. Another point about merit, I want to conclude here. One needs merit in order to experience awakening. Merit and wisdom always go hand in hand. You don't need a lot of merit, You need merit. Because we are not living in isolation. We don't live in a bubble. We live interconnected, connected to all beings. We're supported by all beings. It's natural to diminish our self-referencing, offer ourselves for the world, for others, for those around us. Help us, help everyone. That generates merit. That generates merit because it's in alignment with wisdom and compassion. Sometime in Buddhism, compassion is actually synonymous with merit. How they describe the Buddha. Wisdom and compassion. Or wisdom and merit. Why is that? Because the interconnectedness of all beings. Compassion in action is the core of merit. Now, many people mistaken merit. They think it's just a donation, charity. It must stem from the heart. It must stem from the interconnection that we have with other people. with all beings, with earth, inanimate things. And from that, wisdom will operate or manifest in diminishing, self-referencing. Without merit, people that practice alone, I've met practitioners, teachers, practice isolation. They're practicing solitary retreat. They don't like to talk to people. Why? Because they're very difficult for them to gain wisdom. I'm probably going to be criticized for saying that, but it's contrary. Now, nothing to do with solitary retreat. Solitary retreats are good. It's another way of practicing. But if we attach to solitary retreat, attach to our own spiritual realization, again, gaining, losing, having, lacking, very difficult. It runs contrary to prajna. Therefore, no awakening. So in order for awakening, a person must have merit. Now, we don't go around making merit, donating to this and that, without understanding the core, which is selfless action. If we understand the principle, support all that needs to be done, what can be done, what must be done. So merit making is important. Merit making is important. If we attach to it, then it's like shooting an arrow into the sky. We want to get something back from it. Oh, you'll get something back. If you shoot it to the arrow, something will come down. Something will come around. So, vigilant in our practice. Key, self-referencing. How is it manifested? Our own interpretation of things, words and language. The extent to which we're locked to our own views, the most dangerous, ideology, views, opinions. So that's a good litmus test. How attached we are to our own views, our own suggestions and opinions. That's the litmus test for Dharma practice. It's not to say, oh, I have no opinions. Then you're just like, people step over you. That's not Dharma practice. Shakyamuni Buddha was not like that. All the great Chan masters not like that. So, if we're locked into words and language, narratives, right and wrong, good and bad, then we will think like that. It's either or. There's no grays. So that's why words and language, your own views, your own opinions, have a modicum of suspicion, positive suspicion to that. Could be this, could be that. My view, but other people have their own views. Don't automatically, following our habit to follow that. Okay, so that's the key. All right.